welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing happy, amazing and positive. I know it looks like I've been crying, and no, I haven't been crying. I am just really sick. I've come down with the flu. I've been in bed for the past few days and it's just not been too good, but I just had to do this video today. I was going to take the week off just to kind of rejuvenate and rest, but I was like, no matter what, like even if I was still in bed, I would have to make this video. I watched the documentary American Murder, The Family Next Door, about Chris Watts murdering his wife, Shanann Watts, and his unborn child, Nichol Watts, and Celeste and Bella, who were his younger daughters. When I tell you, I literally, oh sorry, you can see my tissue. When I tell you, I literally cried throughout the whole documentary. I freaking cried. I was freaking a mess. I mean, I had heard of this case when it first kind of happened. I feel like it was just everywhere globally. I'm not actually going to be talking about the case how I do normally on my channel. I normally go into like the stories and stuff like that. This time I'm not going to, because I feel like it's been done almost by every true crime YouTuber. Before you do watch this, if you haven't watched the documentary, I highly suggest you first go watch that. So I will explain a little bit of what goes on in the documentary. The first kind of main bit of the documentary is when Shanann's friend comes to the Watts family home because she's concerned about her friend. She hasn't been replying to her calls and text messages. First of all, this friend is the kind of friend that every person needs. She knew straight off the bat that something was wrong. Like, her intuition was so strong. She knew Shanann would normally respond to messages and answer calls or things like that, and she didn't. And all morning she didn't hear from her friend. So instantly it's like a gut feeling. She knew something was wrong. The great thing is she didn't wait around. She just got straight to it. She went to the house just to check in and see if she was okay. I don't know if she actually suspected Chris at that point. I mean, who really would have, you know, that's just not something you would straight away think unless there's a whole history of abuse or emotional and physical abuse. It was amazing and really well judged by her to go and check out if she was okay. While she was there, she called the cops because there was no movement in the house. The cops came, couldn't find her, obviously. Chris came home. He was super calm, didn't really seem concerned, to be honest. Like, I guess there are people out there who show concern in a different way. Like, some people are a lot calmer. You know, you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. Even though you know the outcome, like even though you know what happened, you almost just wish that it wasn't him. You just like, you're like, no, like it could not have been you. Like, you seem so nice. He's very quiet, I feel like he was kind of shy, which, yeah, like they did say in the documentary, he was more of the reserved one. You just, yeah, like just by looking at him, you just don't think that he could do something like this. So yeah, they searched the house and everything, and one thing that really irritated me was like when they found Shanann's phone in the house, there were, like when they turned it on, they found like a bunch of, you know, text messages were coming through. And there were so many messages from Chris saying, where are you? Answer me, reply to me, blah, blah, blah. He was just trying to make it seem as if he's so concerned and he's looking for her. Wasn't he at work though? If a true concerned husband and a father, you would think that like you would take the day off and search, right, frantically.
Especially if she hasn't been replying to your text messages and your calls all day, as if you wouldn't grow any kind of concern just to go check on them quickly and see if they're all okay.
Do it for your kids at least. I'm sure your boss would have let you take the day off if your wife and kids are missing. And then he goes into his room and he comes out with her wedding ring that was sitting on the bedside table in their room. And he comes out and he makes this face. Oh my God, that face, it irritated me. Because it, like, I don't know, it's because I know what happened, but it was so obvious. Like, he was like, and he's showing it to the friends. Like, oh, look, she's left the ring. Oh, look, she's left me. She doesn't want to be married. She's taken the kids and she's gone. Typical narcissistic behavior. He wanted straight away for people to think she's left the wedding ring and she is gone. She's taken the kids and she's left me. She's gone. She doesn't want to be married to me anymore. Like, you can tell that he planted that ring there just so that he could come up with that story. As all this is happening, you know, a little bit of questioning, the neighbor comes out and goes, I have a camera that looks kind of towards the Watts family's home. Do you want to come in and have a look at the footage in case there might be something there? They all go in. So the Chris and the cops go in. This is when Chris's demeanor changes completely. It would not take a genius to figure out that his demeanor did a whole 180. He started fidgeting. He was looking down on his phone a lot, texting, he had his hands on his head, moving about, not giving eye contact. If your kids and your wife have vanished, wouldn't you straight away go, I need to see this footage? Don't talk. No one can say anything. Just play the footage. I want to see. I need to see. Like, I know, touch wood, if anything like that happened to me, I would be like, play the freaking footage. I don't care that the cops here. I don't care who's here. Just play it. I need to see this. Nah, texting. Who are you texting? Why are you texting? Like, the literal answer of your questions is in this footage. But obviously he was guilty. So he was like, shit, shit, shit. They're going to see me loading my car. They're going to see me, you know, in there leaving my house to go dispose the bodies, blah, blah, blah. So he knew, like, the wheels were turning in his head like, oh shit, I'm about to get caught. But luckily for him, there was nothing in that footage at that time that would have been any suspicious activity. And you could see the relief kind of just set in. He leaves and the cop stays back. I think the neighbor asks for the cop to stay back. And then the neighbor goes, he's not acting right. Something is not right. He is usually very calm, very quiet, very collected. But he's not acting right. And the cop gave him the benefit of the doubt, as you would, and was like, you know, like, we don't know. He doesn't know where his family is. Maybe he's just shaken up. Who knows? And yeah, like, as a cop should, kind of just go, okay, yeah, maybe he's just really upset. He's not showing emotions like normal people would. And yes, that does happen. But that neighbor, goodness me, good on that neighbor for picking up straight away that something was not right. And he didn't even make it obvious that he was observing Chris. You know, he did a really good job of reading his body language, and especially like knowing what Chris is like normally. He was able to do that really, really easily. And it was so good that he straight away told the cop. One thing that I really liked about this documentary is usually when there are documentaries like this, the documentary focuses more on the person who committed the crime, not so much on the victims. This documentary really, really focused on Shanann Watts and the kids and how tight-knit of a family they were. She videoed everything, like everything was on Facebook. She did a lot of live streams for her business. And Chris seemed honestly like the perfect father. The kids felt very playful with him. They had a great bond. He seemed like he would really, makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. But he seemed like he would protect them at all costs. How ironic that he was the person that the kids needed protection from. That's the hardest part to comprehend, is that the kids had no idea like what kind of a monster their father was. When you think about their last moments and like how confused they would have been, like, what is happening? Why is daddy hurting me? I don't like to think about that. There was footage in there when Chris Watts had just come back from somewhere, he was in the airport, and the kids were there to greet him, and the kids ran up to him and, you know, gave him a big hug. That really showed the bond. One thing also in the documentary, it showed how much Shanann loved her family and how much she was fighting for her family when she realized that things were not the same with her husband. She was always texting him. She was like craving that attention from him, you know. Her texts were so enthusiastic. She would always call him babe and baby, and she'd always express her love to him. And then you would notice in his texts, it just turned into very few words, not very enthusiastic, unless she was questioning him. Like when the kids and her went away, Chris didn't even like FaceTime the kids or text to check in on the kids and check in on her or anything like that. And she's like, you haven't even called, you haven't even FaceTime, you don't even care. And only when she would call him out, he would be super enthusiastic, like, no, I miss you so much, I miss you tons, I think it was that he said. Only when he like got called out. Obviously, as a woman, you know, a woman's intuition is bloody strong. And I feel like Shanann knew something was up. When your partner is cheating on you, there is just something in your gut that tells you whether he's cheating, whether he's lying about something, whether his feelings have changed, something is going on. She knew that. She even expressed that to her friends. She wanted to mend it though. Like, she really wanted to fix it, but he just seemed like he didn't really care. And of course he didn't, because he was cheating with a woman called Nichol from his work. So what I also learned in the documentary is that Shanann was the dominant one. So she was kind of the person who was the more assertive, the more outspoken, that sort of thing. And she definitely was the more confident one, especially when you watch her videos. You could tell she was very confident in front of the camera. She was an overall very bubbly kind of person, very sweet, very loving, you know, very beautiful mother, very beautiful wife. You could tell she just loved babies, you know, she's very maternal, and she would just document everything in her life. And even when you would watch those home videos, you would see that Chris, even when he noticed that there was a camera, he was a little bit reserved, and that's fine. There are a lot of people like that. There were a lot of Facebook groups and pages that were created after their murders saying that a lot of women even were saying that she was a bitch and that she probably drove him to craziness. They called her a narcissist. She does not fit the narcissistic category. Like, go look up narcissist. Chris was the narcissist. How deluded are people to call her the narcissist? I mean, I'm not saying that we know everything about their relationship, because obviously there are things that would have happened behind closed doors that no one is aware of. I don't believe that she was a narcissist, in my opinion. I really don't, especially judging by her text messages to her friends and how everyone would kind of describe her. And why is it when women are more assertive and more direct that they are instantly labeled as a bitch? But when men are the more dominant, direct, outspoken, that kind of thing, they're manly. That's how it should be. Whoever came up with that stupid rule? I know in my relationship, there are times where I'm the more dominant one than my partner, and there are times where he's more dominant than me. We all have different traits. We all have different personalities. It's like that in literally every relationship. This is the thing about domestic violence. There's always like, oh, but what did the woman do to deserve that? This needs to stop. Like, this is something that we need to work on as a society and stop blaming the woman. Even after she's killed by her husband, she's bullied online. These are adult people, by the way. How can you not think to yourself that this woman has just been killed by her husband? We should show some respect. Respect the dead, respect those kids and the unborn child. You would think that adults were more of the kinder ones, you know, because adults have been through it. But no. Shanann's father had to come out publicly and say, stop bullying my dead child and my dead grandchildren. Because if you're bullying their mother, who took such good care of those kids, you are also indirectly bullying those kids. Chris's parents apparently didn't really like her, or was it his mum didn't really like her because she was bossy or whatever? Come on, man. And before Chris married her, I mean, what, they were dating for a couple years or something? He would have known. He would have known how she was. If that was a problem, why did you marry her? You would have known. That's why people date, to get to know that person. And then eventually, if you really like them, you marry them. If you didn't like that, why did you marry them? While Shanann and her kids were away, Chris Watts would not, you know, contact them, like I said before. That instantly shows something's up. I mean, wouldn't you, when your family's away, you would miss them, right? You would miss the noise in the house. And yes, it is peaceful when there's no noise, but there are moments where you would miss them. Why wouldn't you come home and FaceTime them for 5 minutes? He just seemed completely checked out at this point, and I 100% believe because he found Nichol and he was pursuing this relationship with her quietly and didn't really bother checking in on the kids because he was too busy with her. And I'm going to get to Nichol in a second. There's bits and pieces that I've learned about Nichol that's coming. Shanann was incredibly independent. She was extremely strong. She also even had an illness that she was recovering from. She built her first house at 25 years old, which is a huge, huge achievement at such a young age. She was just a really, really hard worker. In their wedding video that was in the documentary, kind of made me sick to my stomach. You know, for a split second though, I did forget about what he had done to her, and I was like, oh, this is so sweet. And then there was a bit where Shanann's father was talking and he was like, oh, I couldn't have picked a better man for my daughter. That is the bit when I snapped out of that bit, and I was like, oh my God, he freaking killed her. Who would have ever thought at that wedding that that would have happened? I snapped out of it so quick, you know? Isn't it crazy how like his mum didn't like Shanann? How ironic is that? I'm sorry to Chris's mum, but her judgment was so clouded. He was the one that ended up being the evil one, not Shanann. With the murders, like, yes, it could have been a fit of rage. Yes, there could have been something that was said, which is apparently that she said that he'll never see the kids again when they were discussing divorce. But how does that justify murdering 4 people? Not just any people, your family, pretty much your whole life, everything that you know, you've just taken it away in 2 seconds for a woman that you've known for apparently a month. Yes, when people get angry, they do things that you normally wouldn't in a normal state of mind. But this is where his cool, calm and collectedness is so dangerous, because you just wouldn't expect him to snap like that. It makes you wonder, like, how long was he waiting to snap? In the middle of his murders, wouldn't you think, what the heck am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Stop, like stop, what am I doing? What the heck? I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know how this thing works. I mean, maybe he was completely blanked out, which 100% I don't think so. All he was seeing was tunnel vision, and he was seeing that Nichol girl standing at the end of the tunnel. That's all he could see. And he didn't really care what he needed to do to get to her. He even admitted, like, all he saw was a free life with Nichol. I just find it so hard to think, like, you could just continue doing this without thinking, what the heck am I doing? For even just for 1 second. How could you not have looked at your kids in the back and gone, whoa, like, this is not me, what the heck? I don't know. I don't want to go too much into that, because I don't know how that kind of thing works, how the mind works like that. But obviously I do wonder all these things, and I'm sure a lot of other people out there do wonder, how did he not stop himself, you know? Even when you see him in the media, and this is the bloody infamous video of him when he's like, I just want them back, and he's like got this freaking annoying smirk on his face, and he's so calm, not even the slightest bit distraught, like, yeah, I just want them to come home, as if you wouldn't even just like try to act concerned. He just seemed cold-hearted, soulless. His eyes had no soul when I was watching that. You know, he didn't even seem scared that he was going to get caught. Like, he was just trying so hard to be so cool and collected that he forgot to act concerned. Like, was he thinking, there's no way I could get caught, so I'm just gonna, you know, say all this part. I mean, I know they're never gonna come back, so whatever. I'm not gonna get caught anyway. I'm a free man to go and, you know, have my life with Nichol. Who knows what could have been going through his head. Then again, yes, people do show their concern in different ways, like I said. Sometimes even when I'm uncomfortable with like little things, you know, I smile at weird times. Like that's happened. I know a lot of people do suffer from that. And it's not because you're happy or you find it funny, it's just your face reacts in a weird way. But I'm sorry, in Chris's case, I absolutely don't think that at all. I think what he was thinking in his head was, I'm so free now, and that was physically manifesting on his face. I don't think he realized that he was smiling, but in actuality he was. And it was because he was so happy. His words didn't even seem genuine. It kind of just seemed like, oh, you know, someone stole my car from my front lawn and whoever has it, just return my car. Like, it was literally like that, you know. It's like he wasn't even talking about human beings. It's like he was talking about an object. He just didn't show any concern, like, at all. Your wife, your family is missing, your pregnant wife. How are you not driving around, searching for them, calling every single person that they've come into contact with, gone to grocery stores to check their security cameras. I would be doing the most. So in his questioning, you know, he was just coming out with a bunch of crap saying, did I cause this? Did I cause them to leave? You know, because he kind of explained that his marriage was on the rocks a little bit. And honestly, like, that made my skin crawl. The fact that he was just like, was it me? He was able to lie so easily. Even while I was watching it, I almost believed him. It's so weird how many times I had to like snap myself out of it and go, no, 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 don't forget that he's the killer. He's the one that killed them. I feel like the cops were kind of suspecting him at this point. They saw his pictures from when he was, you know, much heavier in weight. He had this whole kind of glow up thing. And, you know, they were kind of like, you know, you've had this whole glow up. Was there maybe some cheating going on? Did you cheat on Shanann? And he's like, no, I would never cheat on my wife. I never cheated on my wife. Blatantly lied. I mean, the cop was quite calm. We all know how cops can manipulate things and ask you things in certain ways that kind of gets you to break or slip up, or, you know, they bait you, right? They're very in your face kind of thing sometimes, or they're a little bit more discreet, judging by your personality. Investigators are very, very smart. Obviously, they have to be. Chris was not breaking. He was very adamant that he did not do anything. So he was asked to take a polygraph test and he said yes, absolutely, with no hesitation. And oh my goodness, when they did the polygraph test, you've probably seen it if you've watched the documentary, the lady conducting that test, she was playing mind games, you know, the way she was like manipulating him or making him feel as though she's very empathetic. And she's like, you know, there's one of us at the moment who knows the truth, but in 5 minutes, both of us are going to know. You know, it would be really stupid of you to lie. It would be very, very stupid of you to lie on this test. You know, it would be so dumb for you to even be sitting here right now doing this polygraph test if you had something to do with their disappearance. Just the way that she was talking, like very sweet, very caring, very gentle. And he was like, yeah, it would be stupid. And she's like, you know, today, like this test, we're going to find out. After this test, we're going to find out the truth. Obviously, manipulation isn't good in most cases, but in this kind of cases, this is amazing. Great tactic. She did so well getting him a little bit like, shit. If you truly had nothing to do with it, you would be very calm. But if you did, that's the kind of things that they would have to say to you for you to start getting scared. Like, oh my goodness, they're gonna catch me out. If you didn't have that thought, you would be calm. But because he knew he was guilty, of course, he failed the test. And the funny thing is that when she was using this tactic on him, he didn't even pick up on it. He was so careful in the cool, calm, and collected role that he was playing, that he was too focused on playing that role that made him not aware of the tactics being used to break him, which obviously is a good thing because this is what kind of unraveled everything. After the test, 2 of the investigators came back and, you know, they were like, we need to talk about this, you failed. And then he's like, I didn't do anything, I swear, I promise you I didn't do anything. And then the female investigator was like, you know, the moment you walked in, I just knew that there was something you wanted to tell me. The reason you've been feeling so sick is because when you're so stressed, when you know there's something that you want to let out, it physically manifests. So I just know that you wanted to come clean about something. And he's like, no, I didn't do anything. Chris is like, I want them to come back, I really do. And she's like, but you know they're not coming back, right? You know that, don't you? And then he's like, I hope they come back. He's very careful not to say, yes, I do know, you know, like, yeah, or agree to what they're saying. You know, he was very focused on what at this point the questions were, you know, because if she was like, you know that, don't you? And he was like, yeah, they would have been like, what do you mean, yeah? What do you mean? Like, how do you know they're not coming back? And then that would have been a whole nother thing, you know? At this point, I feel like he was completely focused on their questions and how he was going to answer them. And you could tell he was thinking a lot before he answered. You know, he would do this, he was thinking. So after this, the male investigator was like, just stop, take a deep breath and just tell us. And then he's like, I cheated on her. And then the investigator was like, I know. I feel like this was Chris's thing to justify why he failed the polygraph test, because he was hiding the fact that he cheated. Not hiding the fact that he killed them, hiding the fact that he cheated, and that was kind of eating him up a bit. I felt like he was using that as a way to justify the nervous heartbeat and whatnot that causes you to fail polygraph tests. So then the female investigator was like, oh, did Shanann do something to them? You know, chicks are crazy. This was a way to kind of get him to talk, bait him, set a trap a little bit. And Chris, you're not smart enough, boy, because you fell for that. Then he's like, I need to talk to my dad. He used that trap as like, I need to make this the story now because I'm about to get caught. I need to blame the whole thing on Shanann. So he was like, okay, I need to set this as the news story. And before the dad came in, you know, the female investigator was like, your dad deserves to know the truth. He's a best friend. You know, baiting him a little bit more to make sure that this time with his dad, he's going to confess. So he confessed. So dad comes in and he's like, yeah, Shanann killed them, so I had to kill Shanann. So the investigators come back into the room and he's like, Shanann hurt my kids, so I hurt Shanann. And then the investigator was like, dude, there's no way. This story doesn't add up. You know, you did something. Like, we know Shanann didn't do anything. Because, you know, this was a tactic that was used by the investigators, they knew that he had fell for that bait. He fell for that trap. They kind of knew that Chris was going to use that and run with it. In like later interviews, there was this interview where Chris kind of slipped up and said, you know, I knew that I was going to kill Shanann one day. Like, I knew it was going to happen. Why did I not have control over it? So, you know, it wasn't a fit of rage. He was planning on killing her. He was being very calculated. I feel like he used his calm personality to kind of steer away from the fact that it could have been him. He said that he had those thoughts that he was going to kill her that morning. But it's like, I'm sorry, if you had those thoughts, as if you wouldn't eliminate yourself out of that situation. Like, how do you think killing your family is going to be a great way to start a whole new life? If you had time to think those thoughts that I'm going to kill them, you had time to not do it. Why didn't you just run away with Nichol? Why didn't you just leave Shanann? Why did you not just divorce her and go, you know what, I want to divorce, no ifs or buts, whens, why, I want to divorce, this is final, that's it. Why did it have to result in 4 people losing their lives, one of which hadn't even been born yet? There were so many ways to go about this, but he literally chose the worst possible way ever. He also probably thought that he's too deep into it. He's already killed his wife. He needs to complete the job, because how is he gonna have a life with Nichol if cops find out that I killed my wife? He's gonna end up in jail. He's not gonna be able to start a new life with Nichol. So instead, he had to kill everyone, come up with the story that they've gone missing, and then he would be in the clear. But I mean, sorry, you are really not that smart if you think that's how easy it's going to be. It also makes me wonder, that day when Shanann's friend came to check if Shanann and the kids were okay, what was Chris planning on doing if the friend didn't come to check? Was he planning on coming home from work and discovering that they're missing? And calling the cops? What was he planning to do if the friend didn't call the cops? It's like, what, you thought a bunch of text messages are justifiable on how hard you're searching for your family?
I also just wanted to add how messed up I thought it was that Chris's mum says that, you know, I forgive you, son, but she didn't even attend Chris and Shanann's wedding because she didn't even like Shanann. She couldn't even forgive her son's choice in a wife.
So I was actually watching a YouTube video the other day. A woman that I discovered on TikTok called Annalise. She does true crime cases and her YouTube channel is called 10 to Life. And I watched her videos and actually found out some very disgusting facts, I guess. So he gives this whole tell-all interview kind of thing of what went on in his head, what was going on at the time. This is a little bit later after he was in jail. He was very open, very open in these interviews, and it almost is unbelievable at the stuff that he was saying. So I'm gonna actually read them out. All he could feel when he murdered his family was that he was finally free to be with Nikki. He was free to start a relationship with her. He was free to be with her without any burden. He says that he felt no remorse when he did it. He didn't like that Shanann was pregnant with his baby. He tried to poison Shanann to force a termination before he actually murdered Shanann. The unborn child, they named him Nico. And the mistress, Chris's girlfriend's name, was Nichol. And I was also wondering, was Chris given the responsibility of choosing his unborn son's name? And he kind of named it after Nichol. And he was like they were planning to kill Shanann and take the baby and raise it as their own or something. Like, what kind of twisted thing was that to name your unborn baby's name, who's not even like got anything to do with Nicole, Nico? If that's the case, I just thought that was way too weird of a coincidence. When he poisoned her to force the termination, it didn't work. He says that he actually killed his kids while they were in bed. So the morning before he had the argument with Shanann, he went and smothered the two daughters before climbing into bed with Shanann, having the argument and killing her. But when he killed his wife, he actually saw one of the girls standing in the doorway, and he was like, what the heck, I just killed them, why is she standing there? And he realized he had actually failed, and so he did it when he went to the site. At this point, he could think like, oh my god, they're alive, like, thank god that, you know, yes, it was a fit of rage, thank god I didn't actually kill them, thank god. But no, he still killed them later on. He said that when he dug Shanann's grave, he threw her body in and she went in face first. And he said at this point, didn't even care to turn her onto her back. He hated her at this point. He just wanted to just get rid of the body. He also spoke about how easy it was to drop the kids in the oil tanks through an 8-inch hole. And he says, quote, I can't believe how easy it was just to drop her and let her go in the hole, and I knew she was dead when I heard the splash in the oil. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the devil himself. Apparently, Bella's last words were, Daddy, no. So now let's get into Nicole, the mistress. She said to the cops that they were not that serious, that she barely knew him. Chris told her that Shanann and him were getting a divorce, and she said that he also tricked her, lied to her about all these things. They were taking things slow, and she was absolutely disgusted by what had happened. At first, honestly, I thought she was not guilty. At first, I was like, there's no way, this poor woman, you know, she's been deceived, she's been lied to. After watching Tanta Life's video about this, I found out some really, really suspicious things. So for some reason, Nicole Googled, the man I'm having an affair with says he'll leave his wife. And Annalise does bring up a good point. Like, if you know that Chris is gonna divorce his wife, why would you be searching that up? Maybe she had a suspicion that he wasn't gonna leave or something like that. But I'm sorry, why would you, if you're not really that serious about him, why would you be searching that kind of thing up? You know what I mean? She was also for 2 hours searching up wedding dresses and marrying your mistress. If you're not that serious, why are you searching up wedding dresses? Why are you searching up marrying a mistress if you barely even knew him? Goes to show that they probably would have been dating a lot longer than they let on. Honestly, she was probably just saying all those other things like, oh, I didn't really know him, rah, 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 just to make herself look innocent and so that people wouldn't hate her. Just after the murders, she was searching up about a woman called Amber Fry, who was a mistress of another wife killer called Scott Peterson. And she searched up, do people hate Amber Fry? And she also, after the murders, searched up Amber Fry's book deal and net worth. Like, was she trying to get a book deal out of this? Was she trying to get money? That is so suspicious. If your boyfriend has just killed his family, as if you wouldn't like be so scared that you would just literally shut off because you just want to like heal, you know? She also searched up, can cops trace text messages? Oh my goodness, if that doesn't say something. Also, her phone recording, her records on her phone shows a ping from a tower near Chris's house on the morning of the murders. Why is this woman not being investigated? Why is this woman not in jail? And let me tell you why in a second. So my theory about this, why her phone pinged, is because I think that they planned this. They planned that he was going to go kill his family and she was going to help him dispose the bodies. I always wondered how it was so easy for Chris to throw the 2 bodies down the oil tank through an 8-inch hole, and how quickly he dug up a hole to put his wife in. How did he so quickly do all of that? I honestly think either Nicole went and helped him dig up that hole and like put the bodies in the oil tank, or she had everything ready. I'm not too sure, but 100% I feel like she was in on it. Because why would the tower ping on the morning of the murders near his house. That does not make sense unless you are involved somehow. And also in that interview, remember how he mentions, oh, it was so easy to put my kids' bodies in the oil tanks. Why did he specify that? Why did he specify how easy it was? Is it because he's pure evil? Or he was trying to emphasize that just so that no one would suspect Nichol of helping him? So I feel like he was kind of protecting her so that she doesn't get caught, and specified that, you know, he did all the work and it was so easy to do. It is said that Nichol's father is part of the Freemasons, and that is why she has not been arrested and she is in witness protection. And I feel like Chris has not dobbed her in. One, because he probably knows that if he dobs his daughter in, her father is gonna get Chris killed in jail. Or also, like Chris says, he's still in love with Nichol. So I don't really know which one it is, but 100% something very fishy about that. Obviously, Chris is not happy about this documentary. He can't believe that all, you know, private messages are out there for public consumption. He's not going to watch the documentary. I mean, does he really need to though? He knows exactly what he did, and I hope that he is haunted by that every single day of his life, every second of his life in jail. And lastly, can you believe that he is receiving love letters in jail by women who are compassionate towards him? Women feel sorry for him. Women feel compassionate. Sorry, I can't relate. And he's also replying to these love letters. I mean, what else would you have to do in jail? You know, passing time by writing 1,000,001 love letters. That's just crazy. I mean, he is also getting his fair share of hate mail too. But wow, I can't believe he's getting love letters too. That's it for today, guys. Yes, I know it was kind of like a summary of like the documentary. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. The documentary made me feel, you know, kind of half heartbroken, but also half just angry. If you haven't watched it, I honestly recommend you watch it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget that I post every single Monday, so I hope to catch you here next week. Bye!